Hey guys, welcome to my first video. In this video I will tell you how you can connect your HomeMatic devices to your Home Assistant setup. This might be a little bit confusing at first because there are a few ways on how to do that, and for those different ways you need specific hardware. First of all, you have to decide how you want to control your HomeMatic devices with your Home Assistant setup. I will show you 3 ways today, and then you better decide on your own which one's right for you. First of all, I have to say that I'm using Home Assistant on a Raspberry Pi 4, and I'm using Home Assistant OS. So, which way you will want to go depends on what kind of devices you want to control. If you only want to control HomeMatic IP devices, then probably the best way for you is to go with the HmIP-RF USB Stick. This is the right way, the right path here. You would just plug that USB drive into your Raspberry Pi. You would then install the RaspberryMatic add-on, and then you'll be able to control your HomeMatic IP devices. If you also want to control HomeMatic RF devices, which is just as a standard HomeMatic devices, you should probably go with this hardware here. You just plug that hardware on your GPIO pins. That works for the Raspberry Pi 3 and for the Raspberry Pi 4 as well. Keep in mind though that for that you would need some soldering skills, because at least I bought this product in 3 parts and I had to solder together by myself, so just keep that in mind. For this hardware you would also need the RaspberryMatic add-on from the Home Assistant add-on store, and with that you would be able to control HomeMatic RF and HomeMatic IP devices. The third way would be, which I do not recommend because I had quite a hard time getting that to work, and I finally stopped working on it. I quit because I couldn't get it to work. That would be also the rpi-rf-mod hardware together with the HomeMatic add-on. I've read some different things, but at least from my experience, I would say that you are not able to control HomeMatic IP devices with that. You're only able to control HomeMatic RF devices. So keep that in mind. I had quite a hard time trying to get HomeMatic IP devices running with that, and A third big way would be this hardware. For that you wouldn't need your Home Assistant running on a Raspberry Pi. For that you would need a second, or you would buy a second Raspberry Pi, which is not a standard one. It's a modded one. It's a normal Raspberry Pi with an RF mod on top. So you would buy that as one product. You wouldn't have to build it yourself. You would then install the RaspberryMatic software directly onto that Pi, and with that you will be able to control HomeMatic RF, HomeMatic IP, and HomeMatic Wire devices. Today I will show you how to go that way. I will first show you my hardware. Then I will show you how to install the RaspberryMatic device, and then I will show you how to set up your devices. I will also put the links for those products in the video description. So, let's get started. So now I will talk about this product here. It looks like that, and you just plug it on your Raspberry Pi, and it has to get on those pins here. But that shouldn't be a problem because you can rearrange some pins if you're already using them. That's what I did, for example. I can show you how that looks on my setup. Please ignore those cables up here. They're just for some self-made sensors. And as you see, the hardware is just sitting on this very end of the GPIO pins. You can also see the soldering, which I did myself, so it doesn't look that pretty. as I said, you have to solder it together from, I think, 3 parts. It shouldn't be that hard, and there's also a nice video on how to do that on this website. So yeah, it goes through it step by step. So yeah, you should be able to do that. Maybe if you haven't soldered before, just try to solder something else first. And yeah, be careful to not put too much heat on that device, because it has microchips on it and it could be destroyed if you put too much heat on it. Yeah, so that's for that. And after you soldered it together, you already plugged it on your Raspberry Pi, the hardware part is over, and now you have to now we have to look on the software part. The first step would be to shut down your HomeAssistant setup. For that, you just go to your HomeAssistant webpage, click on Configuration, Server Controls, always check the configuration file, and if it's valid, stop the server. After that, you should wait 1 minute or so till the server is shut down completely. Then you can take out the microSD card out of your Raspberry Pi and plug it in your PC. When you plug it in your PC, it should look like that. First, we have to edit the config.txt file. So when you open it, it should look like that. All those lines that don't really matter. They're not active, they're commented. So you just go down here, and we need to add a couple of lines here. I will put those lines in the video description as well. You just copy them, paste them down here, and save. So for that, you need those lines if you want to use a RaspberryMatic add-on, like I will do. If you want to use a HomeMatic add-on, which I won't talk about that in this video, you would need some other lines of code, which depend on which version of the Raspberry Pi you're using. If you're using the Raspberry Pi 4, you would need these 2 lines. If you're using the Raspberry Pi 3, you would need those 2 lines. But as I said, in our case, we are using the RaspberryMatic add-on, so we need those 4. As I said, you paste them down here, you save, and you exit. After that, remember to disconnect your the SD card properly, so don't just pull it out of your PC. And after that, you can plug it in back into your Raspberry Pi, and you can restart the server. After that, you would need to install your RaspberryMatic add-on. For that, you go to Supervisor, you go to the add-on store, and just click on those 3 dots in the upper corner, and click on Repositories. Now you add the link, this link, I will also add that in a video description. You just click on Add, on Close. You should then be able to see it down here. Just use this one, don't use that one. It's a snapshot, it's not a stable version. So yeah, go with that one. Click on it, and on this page, probably just put the 4 sliders aside it. It's just for convenience. The important one is the last one, the protection mode, because for this add-on you need to disable the protection mode, because it probably needs some core functions. So yeah, deactivate that. This is kind of a security risk, I guess. But the guy who programmed the add-on is Jens Maus. He's a German fella, and he's quite active. He has been working on quite a few projects, so I just have to trust him with that, I guess. So yeah, disable the protection mode. So after that, you can start your add-on, and then you just wait for, I guess, 1 minute or something, and then you should look in the log files if there are some error messages or something, which is probably the case when you started it the first time. So wait till everything in the log files is everything's finished, and then just restart the the add-on. Check the logs again, and in this case there should be no error messages, hopefully. So after that, your RaspberryMatic add-on is installed, and it just needs to be configured. If you would like to use the other add-on, the official Raspberry HomeMatic add-on, you could do that by going to Supervisor, Add-on Store, and yeah, just install that official one. In that case, you will need the other 2 lines of code for the config.txt file, which I showed before. But as I said, in our case, we are going to use RaspberryMatic add-on. So if you put that slider, put the slider on, you should be able to see the RaspberryMatic add-on on the left here. If you click on that, you would need to set up the add-on first. I'm not going to do that because I don't want, as I said, I had some problems, some issues setting up the whole system, so I don't want to, destroy it again. So I'm not going to do that, but it shouldn't be so, should be quite hard. So I'm quite sure you're able to do that. In that process, you also need to, set a user account and a password. So after your installation, you should be seeing this, this screen here. First of all, you go to user management, and in your case, you should probably only have this one user, which you created before. That user is going to be important. So remember the username and also the password of it. You're going to use that later. Second, we are going to go to the devices section, and in this section you will add all your devices you want to add. So for this plugin you can add HomeMatic IP and HomeMatic RF devices, and HomeMatic RF device like this radiator sensor, and a HomeMatic IP device like this window sensor. To add those devices, you would go to teach-in modes, to teach-in devices, sorry, and you have 2 different options on how to do that. The first part, part is for the HomeMatic device, and the second for the HomeMatic IP devices. And for both, you have, as I said, 2 ways to connect your devices. The first would be just to get your device into pairing mode, and just click that button. Remember though that in both cases you need to factory reset your device first, and then put it into the teach-in mode. After the device is blinking or something, because it's in teach-in mode now, you click this or this button, depends on which device class you're using, and then it should be able to find your device. In my case, it really took a couple of times to try that, and I had to restart the RaspberryMatic add-on and the HomeAssistant server in the due time, like 1 or 2 times, and then it just connected. So don't be afraid if it doesn't work on the first time. Just try a couple of times and it should work out. So after that, you just add all your devices. As I said, you have a different method how to connect your devices. Those 2 lines, those 2 parts. You would for this need the serial number for your HomeMatic device, or the key and the SGTIN from the HomeMatic IP device. You could just paste them here. They should probably be in the package of your product, and you could also press teach-in device then. It was too not complicated, but too much work, so I just used this method, and it just worked like a charm. So after you added all your devices you want to have, you go to Settings, System Variables, and there you create a new system variable. You call it v_last_reboot, and put the variable type to character string, and just click OK. After that, you go to the Programs and Connections, Programs and RaspberryMatic Connections. There you create a new program. You just leave that empty. You click on the plus of the activity part. You choose Script. Click on those 3 dots here, and just paste this code right here. This code is from this website here, which is just documentation of the RaspberryMatic add-on. You will need some more code from that website later, so I just put the link of that website in the video description. So you scroll down, and after those pictures, there's this part. You will need to copy this part and paste it here. After that, you click OK, and you choose delayed by, and you put in 30 seconds. You could also change the name of that program. I would call it something like start on boot or something. The name doesn't matter, it's just something for you to remember. So I just I won't use it because my program already exists. There it is. So after that, there's only one part you need to do in this RaspberryMatic add-on. You go to Settings and you click on Control Panel. After that, you click on Configure Firewall, and you should probably just put in the options like I did. If somebody of you knows more about that and you tell you that something of this is not necessary, please let me know. For example, I'm not quite sure if I need both the ports open and the IP address down here, but if you know more, please let me know. This part here is in general to be able to see your HomeMatic devices inside HomeAssistant, so to get the entities. The ports down here are just the ports for the HomeMatic IP and HomeMatic RF devices. Make sure to put a colon in the middle, a semicolon in the middle. Down here you should just add the IP address of your HomeAssistant setup. After that, you click OK. Wait a sec, and then you go to Supervisor, go to your add-on, and just restart it. After that, you go to your code editor. In my case, it's the Studio Code Server. You go to your configuration.yaml file, and then we will need this website again. You scroll down to this part. You just copy that and just paste it in your configuration.yaml file. Pardon, like that. Ignore the error message. It doesn't matter for now. I'll try to explain the different parts of that code now. First of all, you have those three parts: RF, wired, and HmIP. Those are for different device types you can use, but in my opinion you are not able to control HomeMatic wired devices, or at least not with the hardware we are using, so you can just delete that. In my case, I want to use both RF and IP devices, so I just leave both of them in. The next part is a groups section. This is something probably more advanced if you're using many devices, but in my case I'm only using two, so I don't need that part. The next part is a hosts part, which you're going to use later. I'll explain that to you later. So we do need to change some settings right here. For that, first of all, you go to your supervisor, go to your RaspberryMatic add-on, and you copy this host name. You go back to the code editor, and you just paste it right here. So the next step would be the username and the password. Those are the username and the password which you created earlier for your RaspberryMatic. Set up your RaspberryMatic account. So you could just use that username and password. You could also create a new one. You would do that by logging in, go to user management, and there you would create a new user. You have to the one thing you have to look out that your user is an administrator. You can't use a guest user. You would be able to control your HomeMatic device with that, but there are some functions which we're going to use later, which you can't use with the guest permission. So you make sure you have an administrator account. You just paste those credentials right here. In my case, this already exists, so I can delete that part. And now the configuration file is set up correctly. You would now go to your configuration, scroll down, go to server controls, check for the configuration, and if it's valid, restart your HomeAssistant server 1 or 2 times. Make sure to always check the configuration before you restart your system. It's quite important. After that, you should be able to have all your HomeMatic devices listed inside HomeAssistant. The problem though is that they are probably not listed under the correct name. So go to your RaspberryMatic add-on, log in again, and then go to your devices, and there you will see the serial number of your devices, and your the devices are listed under that name in HomeAssistant probably. So copy that numbers here, go to the developer tools. This is a site where all your entities in HomeAssistant are listed. Press Ctrl F and just look for this serial number. Or if you're using, for example, a radiator controller like me, you could also just look for climate. And then you would see your specific device. Because this serial number as a name is not quite nice, you can click on this info button, click on settings, and you can change the name of your the name and the entity ID of your device. Make sure to only use characters and this underscores here. Don't use any other signs or something. Then press update. And if you do that, after you did that for all your devices, you have them all nice and clean, and that's it. The next thing you need to do is, because of a problem that may occur, this problem occurs when your RaspberryMatic add-on crashes or doesn't start correctly, and because of that it may happen that your HomeAssistant system is not able anymore to communicate with your add-on, so it can't read any sensor values, or maybe even can't control your RaspberryMatic or your HomeMatic devices. So, but for that we need to add 2 or 3 functions, but it's just not much work. In our RaspberryMatic add-on, we already created a system variable called vLastReboot, and we also created a program. What this program does is everything the add-on starts, so it doesn't has any condition, so it does it every time the add-on starts. It will change the value of this variable to the time the add-on starts. So the next part is to create a sensor inside HomeAssistant, which will read the value from the add-on RaspberryMatic, which will read the value of this last reboot, and just write it in the sensor inside HomeAssistant. The next thing would be to create an automation which just looks for this sensor, and every time the sensor changes, which means that the add-on has started, it will call a function, call a service, HomeMatic reconnect, to reconnect to your HomeMatic add-on. So, as I said, the part in the RaspberryMatic add-on is already done. What we now need to do is create the sensor inside HomeAssistant. For that we just copy that part here. we go to our code editor again, go to the configuration.yaml, and we need to look for this line sensor, starting just at the beginning, not somewhere in the middle. It has to be right here. If the sensor object field doesn't exist, you can just paste the code anywhere in between those sections here. You can't, for example, place it here, because then you would place it under the field under the name switch. So if you already have this sensor name, you need to paste the code under that, and in that case you would need to delete the sensor part. So now we have the topic, or the name sensor, and we just created a new instance of that. So as I mentioned already, it just creates this sensor. You could also change that name, but I would recommend to just leave it like that. It's just easier, and it's just looks for this entity ID and looks for that attribute. One thing I have to mention though, that this entity here, which you can also find in your developer tools here, it only exists if you edit this hosts part here in the HomeMatic section in the declaration. You could also edit this name. For example, you could also call it hello world. It doesn't matter, but I would just leave it as RaspberryMatic, probably easier. So under that name you would just find it right here, and you would also see under these attributes, you would also see the variable which we created via last reboot with the date of the last reboot. So back to the topic, we just paste this part here. This error message down here is not an error message from HomeAssistant. It's an error message from my code editor, which just means that this part is deprecated, which is outdated. So we don't need that part anymore, so I just delete that. And that's all for this sensor. I will just delete that because I have it down here. The last step would be to add the automation. For that you go to the website again and just copy that part here. After that you go to your code editor and to the automations file, and then you just place this in between from any of those objects. You can't paste it inside here, it's impossible because this is one object. So just paste it somewhere here, paste it somewhere here. You can delete the automation name because that already exists, because we have an automations.yaml file. So I already pasted that up here. The only thing I changed is like the name of the entity, but that doesn't matter if you always copy the code from this website. You always get the same entity. So don't mind that my name is quite a little bit different. It doesn't matter. So after you paste it here, you can save that, and then you just restart your HomeAssistant again. After that, everything should work just fine. You should be able to find all your entities. So example, on my Windows sensor is right here. If I would open the window now, it would turn on. I'm also able to find my radiator controller, and I'm also able to find my just created variable right here. So that was about 40 minutes ago. So this is the last time that my HomeMatic add-on has restarted. If I would now go into my RaspberryMatic add-on and log in, as I already explained to you, this program changes my system variable every time it starts. Then my HomeAssistant sensor, or my template, would create this sensor out of our system variable, and that value would be read by my automation then, which would try to reconnect to my add-on then. So to test that, we can go to the programs and RaspberryMatic connections. We can just go to our program, and now we have to pay attention to that date, because when I now go to this part, this is just the code we pasted, and I go to execute, it will execute that code, so the system variable will be changed, so in HomeAssistant the sensor should change. We click on execute, and we see that this value changes. It took 5 or 6 seconds, but that doesn't matter. So it changed, and now my automation would call the function HomeMatic reconnect. So guys, that's basically all. I hope you enjoyed. There's just two little things I want to show you in the end. The first thing would be if you're having problem, at least in my case it's only with my Windows sensor happening, that from time to time the value just changes to unavailable, and HomeAssistant doesn't recognize when I open the window anymore. So also a way to solve that would also be the function HomeMatic reconnect. So for that we could also just go to our configuration. We just created an automation which also calls this function. So it only calls it when the add-on restarts, but we could also run this action manually. So what that does is, now you see that's unavailable here, and if I just run that, it changes to off again. So that's what we want to do. So probably you could just create an automation now, which also always calls this function if one of the sensors goes to unavailable. So the second thing I want to show you is how you can control your devices, or better your attributes from HomeAssistant. So for example, if you're also having a radiator controller like me, you not only have the on or off value, you also have a couple of attributes on the right side here. So you are also able to control, for example, the HMIP mode, the preset mode, or the temperature, all from HomeAssistant. If you're having another type of device, you're probably able to set a couple of other attributes. At least for my radiator controller, there are those 3. So you could also control those attributes from a script, but I'm using Node-RED because I just find it more handy. So I can show you how you can do that. So I'm having a couple of nodes listed right here. All of them are called service nodes. You can edit them and just change the value to mine. For example, if you have a look at those modes again, you also see a list of available values for the HMIP mode and also for the preset mode. So you could change those modes to those values. For example, if I want to change my HMIP mode to auto, I'm able to do that by going to creating a call service node. The domain is climate, but that depends on what kind of device you're using. So in my case, it's a radiator controller. Sorry, a climate. So I'm just using that domain, climate. The service is just depends on what you want to do. You have all the available services listed here, and that is the only way how you can control specific attributes from Node-RED. So you can't control any other attributes. You need to call a service. So probably that's the same case for a script as well. So in my case, I want to save the HVAC mode. The next step would be the entity ID, which is just the entity of my device. And the most important one is the last line, the data line, because those attributes not only have they're not of a type Boolean, so they're not only on or off, they have specific values, like here. And you also send the specific value you want to set the attribute to with the service. So you just choose one of those. As I said, I will change it to auto, and then you that is a JSON object. So if you're not familiar with that, maybe just Google that. But it's really not that hard. You also need those thrifted brackets at the end, in the front. Then you first of all set the the mode, the attribute which you want to change first, and then a colon, and then no, not a colon, this one, and then you just put the value of the the value you want to change the attribute to as a second part. Don't forget these parts, those characters, and then just should work fine. You click on done, and if you have a look at my my entity here, then here you see the mode is set to manual. So if I just execute this one, sending, and it's now changed to auto. There's one annoying thing I couldn't solve by myself, and it's that you can change the mode to automatic, to auto, but you can't change it back to manual. And that is, from what I've read, something that has been programmed into the add-on like on purpose, but I also couldn't find a way around it. So that's a little bit a little bummer, I'd say, because if you want to change it to auto, you will also want to change it back at some time. So that's a little bit annoying. But besides that, there are some other functions, services you could use. For example, I'm just going to tell them real quick. The turn off and turn on service. You don't need a value for that because it's only on or off. Also the preset modes, just the same. Just change that value if you want to put another value. The same for the echo mode, preset mode, echo, and also you could also change the temperature. So in my case, I choose set temperature, and then it's the same, the name of the attribute and then the value. You could also, that's the reason why I'm using Node-RED, because you could also so you're sending objects over those lines from node to node, and you could also change the temperature to any value which you're receiving from the first or the node in the front. So that's quite handy. That's a thing I really like. So guys, that's really it for this video. I want to do a shout out to Jens Maus for creating this add-on, and also Daniel Perner for helping me out a couple of times in the HomeAssistant community. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and we see us the next time. Bye!